cutting sugar, skipping desserts, choosing what you believe are healthy meals. And yet every time you sit in front of your doctor, your kidney numbers look worse than the last visit. That moment of confusion, doing everything you were told but still losing ground, is where millions of Americans with diabetes are standing right now. I'm Dr. Richard Hale, and I need to say this clearly because this is urgent. Kidney failure in people with diabetes rarely starts with candy or obvious junk food. It starts quietly with everyday foods people trust, eat regularly, and never suspect. Foods that feel harmless, familiar, even comforting, and that's exactly why they're so dangerous. Here's the part most people don't realize. Your kidneys don't scream when they're under attack. They don't warn you with sharp pain or sudden symptoms. They weaken slowly, silently, while doing their job day after day, filtering excess sugar, salt, and toxins from the blood. By the time warning signs appear, the damage is often already advanced and in many cases irreversible. Medical data shows that people with diabetes are 3 to 4 times more likely to develop kidney disease even when blood sugar appears under control. That means following the rules isn't always enough if your kidneys are being quietly overworked every single day by the wrong foods. And this is where today's conversation becomes critical. Because the real problem isn't just what you're eating, it's which familiar foods are forcing your kidneys to work overtime without rest. In this video, I'll reveal the most common food traps damaging diabetic kidneys across the United States. More importantly, I'll show you how to protect your kidneys without extreme diets, without starving yourself, and without giving up the joy of eating. Stay with me until the end. One small change you make after watching this could mean protecting your kidneys or slowly losing them. Salty foods are often the first place kidney damage quietly begins, especially for people living with diabetes. What makes this so dangerous is that salt doesn't feel harmful. It feels familiar, comforting. For many families, a meal doesn't feel complete without something salty on the side. And because it isn't sweet, most people assume it's safe. That assumption alone has cost many patients their kidney function years earlier than expected. I remember a patient in his mid-60s who told me, "Doctor, I don't touch sugar. I don't drink soda. I do everything right." And he truly believed that. What he didn't mention at first was that every single meal included salty foods, pickled vegetables, cured meats, heavy sauces, because that's how he'd eaten his entire life. 6 months later, his kidney labs worsened dramatically. Not overnight, not suddenly, quietly. Salt didn't cause pain. It caused pressure. Here's what's happening inside your body. Excess sodium forces your bloodstream to retain water. That extra fluid raises blood pressure, and when blood pressure rises, it slams directly into the tiny filtration units inside your kidneys. These filters, already weakened by high blood sugar, are suddenly pushed to work harder, longer without rest. Research consistently shows that people with diabetes who consume high-sodium diets experience faster kidney function decline and higher rates of albumin leakage, an early marker of kidney damage. What's alarming is how little salt it actually takes. The recommended daily sodium intake for high-risk individuals is under 2,300 milligrams, and many experts suggest even less. But a single salty side dish, a few spoonfuls of sauce, or packaged condiments can exceed that amount before dinner's even over. This is why so many patients feel blindsided. They never felt sick. They never felt pain, but the damage kept building. The good news is that this isn't about eating bland food or giving up enjoyment. Reducing salt doesn't mean removing flavor. It means changing how flavor is created. Using herbs, garlic, citrus, spices, and fresh ingredients allows the kidneys to rest while the brain still feels satisfied. Within 2 to 3 weeks, taste receptors adapt, cravings decrease, and blood pressure often begins to improve, taking pressure off the kidneys at the same time. If you're listening right now, ask yourself, honestly, has salt quietly become the foundation of your meals without you realizing it? Leave a comment below if this sounds familiar. I read every single one. But salt is only the first layer of the problem, because even people who successfully cut back on sodium are often shocked by what comes next. There's another group of foods many Americans consider nutrient-dense or restorative, yet they place an even heavier burden on diabetic kidneys, and that's exactly where we're going next. If salty foods quietly overload the kidneys with pressure, organ meats, and bone broth, overload them with something even harder to escape: concentrated waste. This is where many well-meaning people get misled, because these foods are often praised as nutrient-dense, traditional, or even healing. But for diabetic kidneys, what sounds nourishing can become deeply damaging. I've seen this pattern countless times. A patient is told their kidneys are weakening, so family members step in with good intentions. They cook liver, heart, kidneys, or simmer bone broth for hours until it's rich and dark, believing they're rebuilding strength. One patient told me, "This is what my parents ate to recover." What no one realized was that his lab results worsened right after those meals became routine. His energy didn't return. His swelling increased. His kidneys were drowning in what they couldn't filter. Here's why this happens. Organ meats are extremely high in purines, which break down into uric acid. Healthy kidneys can manage that load. Diabetic kidneys often cannot. When uric acid builds up, it doesn't just affect joints. It accelerates kidney inflammation and contributes to stone formation and further filtration damage. Bone broth adds another layer of stress. Long-simmered broths are rich in phosphorus, a mineral that failing kidneys struggle to remove. Elevated phosphorus levels are strongly linked to itching, bone loss, vascular calcification, and faster progression of kidney disease. Clinical data consistently shows that patients with chronic kidney disease who consume high phosphorus diets experience more rapid decline and higher cardiovascular risk. And unlike sugar or salt, phosphorus doesn't always show immediate symptoms. It accumulates quietly, just like kidney damage itself. This doesn't mean protein is the enemy. The issue is which protein and how it's prepared. Lean, low-purine options like egg whites, whitefish, and carefully portioned poultry provide essential amino acids without overwhelming the kidneys. Short-cooked broths made from vegetables or lightly simmered lean meats reduce mineral extraction and are far easier on renal function. Small changes in preparation can dramatically change the burden placed on your kidneys. If this is sounding uncomfortably familiar, pause for a moment. Have you or someone you love relied on these foods thinking they were helping recovery? If so, leave a comment below. These conversations matter, and they help others realize they're not alone. But even when people remove organ meats and bone broth, kidney decline can continue for one surprising reason. Because there's another category of foods that looks harmless, saves time, and fills pantries across America, yet silently accelerates kidney damage in ways most people never see coming. And that's what we need to talk about next. Even after people cut back on salt and avoid organ meats, kidney damage often keeps progressing for one simple reason: processed foods quietly take over the diet. They're fast, they're cheap, they're everywhere. And for many Americans, especially those managing diabetes, they feel like a necessary compromise just to get through the day. I had a patient tell me, "Doctor, I don't eat much. Just something quick in the morning, maybe soup or packaged food when I'm tired." What he didn't realize was that those quick foods were hitting his kidneys harder than any full meal ever did. Instant noodles, canned meats, frozen dinners, processed sausages, each one delivered a concentrated load of sodium preservatives and chemical additives his kidneys had no time to recover from. Here's what makes processed foods uniquely dangerous. They don't just contain salt. They contain hidden sodium phosphate additives and industrial fats that don't exist in home-cooked meals. Studies show that phosphorus from food additives is absorbed almost 100% by the body, compared to far lower absorption from natural sources. For diabetic kidneys already struggling to filter blood efficiently, this creates constant chemical stress that accelerates scarring and functional loss. Research published in nephrology journals consistently links ultra-processed food intake with faster kidney function decline, higher protein leakage in urine, and increased cardiovascular risk. And unlike sugar spikes, this damage doesn't announce itself. There's no immediate crash, no warning sign, just a steady erosion of kidney reserve meal after meal. The real trap is convenience. Processed foods remove friction from eating, but they remove protection from your kidneys. Every additive your body doesn't recognize must be filtered, neutralized, or excreted, and that burden falls directly on renal tissue. Over time, kidney cells adapt by hardening and shrinking. That adaptation looks like normal aging on lab results until suddenly it isn't. The solution isn't perfection, it's reduction and substitution. Replacing even one processed meal per day with fresh food, simple proteins, vegetables, lightly seasoned dishes can dramatically reduce additive exposure. If packaged foods are unavoidable, discarding seasoning packets, diluting soups, and increasing fiber intake can lower the immediate load. These aren't dramatic changes, but they give kidneys something they desperately need: breathing room. Take a moment and be honest with yourself. How often do convenience foods quietly replace real meals in your routine? If this sounds familiar, leave a comment below. These habits are more common than people admit, and acknowledging them is the first step toward change. But even if someone avoids salty foods, skips organ meats, and cuts back on processed meals, kidney damage can still accelerate from one final mistake, one that feels healthy, refreshing, and completely harmless. And that last one surprises almost everyone, which is exactly why you'll want to stay with me for what comes next. Even after people cut back on processed foods, many are shocked to see their kidney numbers continue to slide. That's usually when they say something like, "At least I'm doing the healthy thing now." I switched to juice, and that's the moment where good intentions quietly turn into real damage. I've heard this story more times than I can count. A patient replaces soda with fruit juice, starts drinking orange juice in the morning, apple juice in the afternoon, maybe coconut water after dinner. It feels clean, natural, refreshing. One man told me, "Doctor, it's fruit. How bad can it be?" His labs answered that question 6 months later. Blood sugar spikes returned, potassium crept up, kidney filtration dropped faster than before. Here's what's actually happening. When fruit is turned into juice, the most protective part, the fiber, is stripped away. What's left is concentrated fructose delivered straight into the bloodstream. For someone with diabetes, that sugar hits fast, raises insulin demand, and forces the kidneys to filter excess glucose almost immediately. Studies show that liquid sugars raise blood glucose more rapidly and more aggressively than solid foods, increasing renal stress even when total calories look reasonable. Soda adds another layer of danger. Many dark sodas contain phosphoric acid, which interferes with mineral balance and accelerates kidney deterioration. Research has linked frequent soda consumption to higher rates of chronic kidney disease, independent of overall diet quality. And then there's potassium. Juices like orange, coconut, and vegetable blends are extremely high in potassium. Healthy kidneys can adjust. Diabetic kidneys often cannot. Elevated potassium can disrupt heart rhythm and become life-threatening without warning. What makes this so deceptive is that none of it feels extreme. There's no binge, no crash, just a steady stream of liquid calories and minerals the kidneys never get a break from. Hydration turns into overload, and overload turns into decline. The solution isn't fear, it's form and timing. Whole fruit eaten in portions behaves very differently than juice. Fiber slows absorption, reduces glucose spikes, and eases the filtration burden. Choosing water, lightly infused water, or unsweetened beverages gives kidneys the hydration they need without the chemical load. Even shifting juice to earlier hours and reducing volume can make a measurable difference in lab results over time. Pause for a moment and think honestly. Have you ever felt proud of choosing juice over soda, believing it was the safer option? If so, leave a comment below. These choices are incredibly common, and recognizing them is the first step toward protecting your kidneys. But here's the most important part. Avoiding harmful foods is only half the equation. Because what truly changes the future of your kidneys isn't just what you remove, it's what you replace it with. And the final piece we're about to discuss can quietly support kidney recovery in ways most people never expect. After hearing everything so far, many people feel overwhelmed. They start thinking, so what can I eat? What can I drink? What actually helps my kidneys, instead of quietly wearing them down? And this is the moment where the conversation needs to shift from fear to control, because kidney protection isn't about perfection. It's about giving your kidneys fewer battles to fight every single day. I once worked with a patient who said something that stuck with me. He said, "Doctor, I can't change my whole life overnight. I just need something simple that doesn't make things worse." That mindset is exactly where kidney-friendly support begins, not with extreme diets or miracle cures, but with steady, realistic choices that reduce strain and allow the kidneys to recover what they still can. From a medical standpoint, kidneys function best when 3 things are controlled consistently: fluid balance, mineral load, and metabolic stress. When sodium, phosphorus, and excess sugar are reduced, the kidneys no longer have to filter in emergency mode. Studies show that even modest dietary adjustments, lower sodium intake, reduced phosphorus exposure, and stable blood glucose can slow kidney disease progression and improve markers like albumin in the urine over time. Supportive choices are often surprisingly simple. Clean water consumed in appropriate amounts helps flush waste without overwhelming the system. Whole foods prepared with minimal processing reduce chemical burden. Lean proteins in proper portions provide repair without overload. Even gentle habits like spacing meals, avoiding late-night heavy eating, and choosing fiber-rich foods can ease renal workload more than people expect. The key is consistency. Kidneys respond to patterns, not one-day fixes. When supportive habits are repeated daily, inflammation decreases, blood pressure stabilizes, and filtration stress drops. Many patients see small improvements first: less swelling, better sleep, steadier labs before larger changes follow. Those small wins matter. They're signs the kidneys are no longer under constant attack. If you've been listening closely, ask yourself this: which one supportive change feels realistic for you right now? Not perfect, just doable. Leave a comment below and share it, because naming the change is often the first step toward making it stick. But support doesn't stop with food and drink alone. There's one final mindset shift often overlooked that determines whether these changes actually last. And that final piece is what ties everything together, so don't go anywhere just yet. If you've stayed with me until this moment, I want you to hear this clearly. Protecting your kidneys is not about being perfect, and it's not about changing your entire life overnight. It's about awareness, consistency, and choosing yourself one small decision at a time. Every time you reduce strain on your kidneys, you're buying yourself more time, more energy, and more years of independence. I know how overwhelming health information can feel, especially when you're already managing diabetes or worrying about lab results. Many people feel discouraged, thinking damage is inevitable. But that's not the truth. The kidneys are resilient organs, and when they're no longer under constant attack, they often stabilize and in some cases improve. The changes we talked about today may seem simple, but simple habits practiced daily are what protect kidney function long-term. Before you move on, I encourage you to save this video, not just for today, but for the days when it's easy to forget why these choices matter. Save it so you can come back, remind yourself, and share it with someone you care about. Kidney disease often affects entire families, and one shared video can start an important conversation. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to this channel. I regularly share clear, evidence-based medical insights focused on kidney health, diabetes management, and aging well, without fear, without extreme advice, and without confusion. Subscribing means you'll receive the latest guidance designed to help you protect your kidneys before problems become irreversible. Most importantly, don't lose hope. Your future isn't decided by one lab result or one bad habit. It's shaped by what you do consistently from this point forward. Take care of your kidneys, and they will take care of you. Thank you for trusting me with your time today, and I'll see you in the next video.